Judo Bank Chief Economist Warren Hogan joins me now. Warren, thanks for your time. What's your view on this policy that Dutton's put forward? And do you think, as I spoke about, that Labor has presided over an enormous tax increase based effectively on bracket creep?
Yeah, good evening, Sharri. No, this is excellent policy, particularly given that we're in a more inflationary world than we've seen for at least 30 or 40 years. Because essentially what this bracket creep is your pay might go up from, say, $40,000 to $50,000. If inflation goes up by 25%, the same amount, you're no better off because your pay is going to have to go to spend the same, the amount of money on the same goods and services, but you go up into a higher tax bracket, so you're paying more tax. And that's what this bracket creep is. It's a hidden increase in taxes, what economists call an increase in the real tax burden. And of course, when inflation's high, it happens at a much faster rate. So this is important policy because I think one of the big challenges for our nation right now is controlling the size of government and controlling the size of government, the amount of government spending. And of course, bracket creep just hands the government money quite easily. So this is an important guardrail against sort of continued growth in government spending, which is putting pressure on the rest of the community.
I mean, it's interesting that as Adam Crichton told us last night, that many other, or even most other developed countries around the world do index their tax brackets to CPI. But Australia doesn't do this. In a way, it's almost cheating workers who are paying personal income tax, and also just how the bulk of government spending disproportionately is shouldered by effectively middle-income Australians.
Yeah, and I think you've just summarised it perfectly there. Not only do we not index tax brackets, and what that simply means that if inflation, or more particularly your wages, go up by 4%, the bracket should go up by 4% so that the tax burden stays the same. But not only do we not do that when half the world's advanced economies do, we are more reliant on income taxes than most other countries, just about all countries. And of course, this is a tax on incentive to work. And that's also a problem in a world we're now in, where there is labour shortages and we want to encourage people to work. So we really have the tax mix wrong. We have the tax system getting more and more skewed. And another issue, I think, which is going to be increasingly problematic in our community is there's going to be this tax burden on younger Australians or working age Australians having to fund the government spending for a growing proportion of people in retirement. So there's a lot of reasons why this needs to be looked at. And this is an important first step, but it's a vast issue that we are going to have to address our tax system in the next 5 years, or we're going to have real problems before long.
Warren, you know, the coalition put forward quite modest attempts to just get the public service back to work in Canberra, right? More than anyone, I support flexible working arrangements. I'm a mother, I work flexibly. But, although I'm here every night, so I do turn up, but Dutton tried to make modest efficiency savings. And the Albanese government turned this into a scare campaign. Do you think Australia is reaching the point where we're just becoming a welfare state, where, you know, Australians expect the government to fund everything? The NDIS is blowing out. You know, so many different areas are just getting larger and larger, and there is no appetite for getting the budget back in shape.
Yeah, and the picture you paint there, I think, is something that concerns me, and that is that an increasingly larger share of Australians and economic activity that people do is being funded by the government. And that's problematic in two respects. One is that it's costing the rest of us, or it's costing taxpayers in general, more and more. And the other one is this funding is not in contested markets. The idea of a market economy is there is this idea of competition where the most efficient uses for our scarce resources are found. And we can see the benefits in the last 30 years. So you're exactly right. And of course, there is also this issue that eventually, if you don't have a healthy private sector, that tax base is going to shrink, and people, there won't be the taxes to fund all these commitments the government's doing. So, what you're pointing out there is exactly part of this problem. We're on an unsustainable path, and it's just how we address it. And of course, a smart country, just like a smart business or a smart household, when they realise something's unsustainable, they make the changes necessary. But we are unwilling to, because our politicians are unwilling to go to elections with difficult policies, which is what reform is all about.
Yeah, very depressing outlook when we put it like that. Warren Hogan, always love your insights. Thanks so much.